Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to daily PMP class. Today, we will be discussing 10 more questions. So let me just share my screen and then we will start. All right. So those who are watching on YouTube, if you want to join the live class, you can get Zoom link by just texting on this number. So you will receive the Zoom link with meeting ID. All right, everybody. So let's start question number 1. All right, Vivek, you have chosen option B.
Yes. So the team is cross-functional and everyone is skilled, experienced, but they're struggling. They're not collaborating effectively because they don't share the information with each other. They don't like they hesitate to like asking help from other team members also. So that suggests there is a like not good understanding and they don't trust each other. Uh, the other communication, the communication channel could be strong, but even if there is no trust between the team members, communication channels will not work. So option A can be eliminated. Team members are not co-located is somewhere. It's not mentioned anywhere in the question that they are on the different locations. And option D, team is working in a functional organization. It is true, but because that's why the cross-functional team is like composed with different department team members. That's why thinking option B would be the correct one.
All right, thank you, Vivek. Lala, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, so here we have departments from it, and they having a hard time collaborating, and they don't have a trust, so they can openly share their ideas and information. I feel like this is a type of the functional organization where we have a member from each department, right? And one of the functional organization is like challenges would be sharing communications, right? So I thought that would be the best answer. That's why when the team is working on a functional organization, which leading to cross communications. Lack of trust is there. It's there because we have functional organization, I feel like.
All right, thank you. Amanullah, you have chosen option A.
Thank you. In fact, looking into question and the responses, that the team is working within cross-functional organization, but it seems there is no regular communication. It doesn't say that there is communication. There might be poor communication between the cross-functional teams and they are not also sharing the information. That might be a reason for this.
All right, thank you, everybody, for detailed explanation. Now let's read the question. It says you're leading a project with a cross-functional team. So first line says it's a cross-functional team, means you have team members from different functionalities, different specialties. So you can easily eliminate option B. In functional organization, we don't have cross-functional teams. Functional organization is a traditional organizational structure where each team belong to a single function. So there is no cross-functional collaboration, right? So cross-functional collaboration is non-existent. So we can easily eliminate option C. The team is working in a functional organization. No, it's clear. It clearly says you have a team with cross-functional team members. So you can easily eliminate D. Now, from different departments, although everyone is skilled and experienced, the team is struggling to collaborate effectively. You have noticed that the team members are reluctant to share information openly. Now, if there is a just communication problem, like communication channel is not there, right? Why there is reluctance? You understand, everybody? So the word reluctance says that it's not just a communication problem. The root cause is something else because there's a likely root cause of this issue. So maybe we can say if communication channel is not there, communication is ineffective. But here we're not saying communication is ineffective. We're saying they're not willing to share information, right? So we can eliminate option A because simply not having the right channel is not an issue. And it says they are hesitant to seek help from one another. So again, this is not just a communication problem, and they work in silos. As a result, project progress is slow and there are frequent misunderstanding about project goals and priorities. Now, there is no indication in the question team members are co-located or team members are virtual team members. So you can easily eliminate option C. Correct answer is option B, lack of trust among team members. When we have lack of trust, team members, they're reluctant to collaborate with each other. They are reluctant to share information and they are hesitant to seek help because there is no trust among team members. So lack of trust is the root cause for all of these indicators, right? So correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. Next question. All right, Manmeet, you have chosen option B.
To my understanding, the flexibility in the leadership style, allowing team members to have decision making and task management, and that has effect on the taking advantage and not adhering to the processes. And we are missing deadlines, quality standards, and everything is happening. So the key aspect, which is most likely missing in the scenario, is the consistent reminder of the guidelines and expectations required during the project going on by the team, project lead. So that's why I picked answer B. Clear team charter, it's always there. Even if it's there, does not mean that they're not adhering. Uh, Team charter, maybe they're understanding the aims and objectives required in the project. It is something they're doing intentional. They have a motive not to follow the instructions. So that's the appropriate answer for the B, that guidelines and expectations are needed to be reminded consistently to the team members. That's what missing.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. So the beauty of this session is that we get different answers from different participants. So it brings a diversity of perspective. So don't hesitate to share your point of view, whatever it is, right? Because there is no judgment, there is no right and wrong. It's just a learning process. Even I don't know answers of so many questions, right? So don't feel shy while explaining or sharing your answer. All right, Beth, you have chosen option A.
I did. The project manager has chosen to be flexible, and the team is not self-motivating is kind of how I read it. But I do see how B may be a solution to it, but the root problem is the people aren't working. So I went with A.
All right, thank you. That's a very good point. I like A could be the root cause and B could be the solution. Thank you. Okay, Robin, you have chosen option C.
Yes, what I thought about this one, and what sort of stuck in me is that with a clear team charter, the ground rules would be established by the team, and that would be the basis on which they continue. And it seems as if they've steered away from that here. So that's why I chose the team charter. Wasn't agreed and signed.
All right, thank you. Leila, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, so intrinsic motivation is the internal motivation, right? So it looks like the reason I didn't went with C because it's saying on the question that they're not adhering to agreed upon process. So they know that they agreed on this process and it's clear and written everywhere, but they're not following that, right? So they don't have that internal motivation to kind of do it because they were given so much like a freedom of autonomy decision making from the management, but they're not motivated to do it. I feel like. So that's why I cross it out C, because first I was like, yeah, maybe there's not a clear agreed upon document charter signed, but then it's from the question I thought it was eliminated. Team building and team bonding is lacking. It doesn't say on the question that they're missing in a team bonding. So that's why I went that they don't have the motivation. And once you don't have the motivation, then if you then solution would be maybe B then to be actually, then you enforce on them. If they're not motivated, maybe you come with some motivation things or just then do all the above, right? Like go do a team bonding activities or something else.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. And one point that Lala raised is it's clearly written like they are taking advantage of the flexibility by not adhering to agreed upon processes. So we can easily eliminate option C. A clear team charter isn't agreed upon and signed. So it's clearly written they are not adhering to agreed upon processes. So it means processes are in place. And not just processes, agreed upon processes. Means they have agreed on the processes, but still they are not following those. So whether they are in the form of a plan or in the form of a charter, we have something where there is an agreement, but still they are not following. So we can easily eliminate option C. Okay, now let's read the question. Like you have adopted a very flexible leadership style, allowing team members significant autonomy in decision-making and task management, right? So however, over time, you have noticed that deadlines are being missed, quality standards are slipping, and team members are taking advantage. So now this is intentional. So even if let's suppose if you don't have motivation, right? So lack of motivation does not lead to negative actions, right? So indication of lack of motivation could be low morale, low engagement, right? But not taking advantage of the flexibility. Now, this is intentional. So it's not just lack of motivation, it's something else. Option D, team building and team bonding is lacking. There is no indication that says that there are conflicts, right? Team members don't collaborate with each other. So team bonding and team building has nothing to do with it, right? So let's read the explanation. Correct answer is option B. Next question. All right, Anton, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, I thought that if our PMIS would be in place, then it would save more time and would not require that many efforts to keep up with the project tasks.
All right, thank you. Suhas, you have chosen option A.
Yeah, I chose option A because the team is struggling to keep up with the task, leading to delay, right? So looks like even maybe there's no indication that there is. I was basically deciding between A and C, but I felt A because there is no indication in the question saying that there was a PMS might be better or PMS is not there, right? Since they're struggling, I thought A could be the reason for they're struggling to keep up the task.
All right, thank you. Nikki, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I kind of was between C and D. I was thinking that it doesn't really say anything about the lack of training. So I kind of eliminated A because it says that these are repetitive and time consuming tasks. And so, like data entry, those are things that probably they all are proficient at doing. It didn't say that they needed extra training for these tasks. It seems like these are things that they've done lots of times. Um, and it doesn't talk about the PMO. So I think that's, it doesn't have a discussion about that. But I just felt like where it says, struggling to keep up with the tasks. So maybe they gave more tasks to senior members and didn't, delineate or delegate tasks to be given to some junior members. If it's easier things that could be done by others, then perhaps they just needed to, spread out the workload a little bit. So then they're not struggling to keep up with things. That's kind of where I went. Again, I wasn't sure about C. Perhaps if the system is not in place and they're not able to keep up with everything, accurately, then that could, have an effect. But I felt like D was the better choice in this one.
All right, thank you. So you're saying the problem is with the delegation of tasks or distribution of tasks among junior and senior team members. All right, thank you.
Yeah, because it says that they're struggling to keep up with the tasks, leading to delays. So it doesn't say that they don't know how to do the tasks; they're just not keeping up. Maybe some people are taking on more than they should, and they need to delegate to someone else to help with the task just to get them completed.
All right, thank you. Manmeet, you have chosen option C.
The reason lack of adequate training, I would never go for that because it's not any have a linkage to the question. The reason why I did not pick D because there was not any indication that says some people are taking more and some are taking less. There's a problem of distribution or between duties and everything. There's a result already mentioned in the question. As a result, team members are overwhelmed. So to my understanding, the picture is bigger here. It's the system itself falling. That's why I picked option C, insufficient project management support, like C. The system itself is falling because it's a repetitive tasks. They're time consuming. Every single day they're performing the same tasks, generate reports and everything. That's why they're overwhelmed. So the system itself is not able to keep up. So that's why I picked option C.
All right, thank you everybody for detailed explanation. Now let's read the question. It says you're managing a project that involves repetitive and time-consuming tasks, such as data entry, report generation, and process monitoring. Now, it's a time-consuming task, right? So the problem is with the time, like it requires a lot of time. Now, how you can minimize that time? That's the question. You understand, everybody? These tasks are repetitive and they consume a lot of time. So how you can minimize that time, such as data entry, report generation, and process monitoring? Your team has been struggling to keep up with the task, leading to delays and errors in the project deliverable. As a result, team members are overwhelmed and their focus on more strategic activities has diminished. Means they are focusing on these data entry. Now, if the problem is of distribution, if senior team members are doing these tasks, then there shouldn't be error or something like that. Like they should be at least efficient in these tasks, right? So for example, if junior team members and senior team members, they are focusing on data entry and stuff like that, they should be able to do it efficiently because senior team members are participating in it. But the results are exactly opposite. So it's not about senior or junior. It's about overall quantum of the work. Overall quantum of the work is time consuming, right? So A, lack of adequate training of team members. No, it has nothing to do with it because training would not solve the quantum problem. Lack of support from project management office could be a reason, but there is no indication in the question that says PMO is supporting or PMO is not supporting, right? Option C, inefficient project management information system. Now, what is PMIS? PMIS is any automated system that streamlines your processes. So rather than doing manual entries, so you have systems in place through which you perform repetitive tasks efficiently. So correct answer is option C. If you want to minimize the time, if you want to do things efficiently, and these tasks are repetitive and time consuming, the best thing is have do automation, have software systems, have project management information system so that you bring efficiency in the system, right? So correct answer is option C. Let's read the explanation. Next question. Vivek, you have chosen option D.
So sorry. So actually, I don't remember about Haller-Horn effect, honestly. So I'm going towards that. Discrimination is not sure in this case because the project manager is not selecting the task based on the person. He's feeling that the past mistakes should not be repeated. So on the first mistake or first kind of a behavior, he's just judging that person, and this is kind of a stereotyping that person. So he's considering that he'll make the same mistakes again. So this is stereotyping.
All right. Thank you, Vivek. Bath, you have chosen option B.
Yes. So I hadn't heard of these before today, and I was it just happened to be in one of my sample questions that I was doing today, that I learned about the halo effect. And so honestly, I went with the horn effect because it sounded just opposite of the halo. So I know that's probably not a good answer, but. And
All
I
right.
didn't think it was discrimination or stereotyping, and I knew what halo effect was now. So yeah, kind of reinforced me.
All right, thank you for explanations. Now let's read the question. It says you're managing a project and one of your team members recently made significant errors in completing their assigned tasks. Due to this, you decide not to assign them any critical work in the upcoming project phase. So due to this, you won't be assigning any critical work to that team member, fearing they might make similar mistake. Which cognitive bias? Now, halo and horn effect. Halo effect is, for example, if somebody performs well, so you will be trusting them in the future. Like if they have performed well for the first time, they will be performing in a similar fashion in the future. So having positive view about somebody based on their previous performance, this is called halo effect. And horn is exactly opposite. Horn effect is if somebody has done something bad in the past, now you have that bias in their mind, like in the future, they would be performing in a similar fashion. So horn is used in negative connotation, halo is used in positive connotation. Correct answer is option B, it's horn effect. Now, what is discrimination and stereotyping? Stereotyping is you discriminate against somebody based on underlying beliefs. So for example, we say people from that particular region, they are this, right? So we have that belief about them. No, this is stereotyping, right? Or people with that gender, they have this habit. Now this is stereotyping. And discrimination could be based on anything, right? Discrimination could be based on seniority. Discrimination could be based on anything, means treating people differently, right? But the specific answer because of which you're not assigning tasks is horn effect. Correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Nikki, you have chosen option D.
Yes. I think that if you're unhappy in the way that someone is managing you, you're not going to be able to push forward and just fight through the anger and do your job and do it well. You need to be okay with how they're treating you. And if this continues to happen, it just makes you really frustrated and you can't function and do your job well. So I think avoiding direct confrontation is not good because I think that doesn't work. You definitely don't need to change your personality for this job. I think first you could do C, going to senior leadership, but I think the best thing is to be assertive and go speak to your manager first and talk about how we can work through this, and this is the way I like to work, and make sure that you can agree upon him not being a micromanager maybe, or saying, hey, can you trust me with these small tasks and I'll check in with you. And then if that doesn't get resolved, then you can go to senior leadership if the concern is still there.
All right, thank you so much for detailed explanation. So yes, that is correct. In a situation where you're not happy with the leadership style of your manager, the first action is be assertive and discuss the concern with the manager. So being assertive is not a bad thing. Being assertive means being upfront, being open, being confident, right? So if you're confidently sharing your point of view, this is what we call being assertive. And it's not a bad thing. It's a positive thing, right? We should be able to share what we think, what we believe, right? So if you read the question, it says you're a PM working under a boss who is known for being very demanding and has a reputation for micromanaging. Your boss frequently questions your decision and asks for detailed updates on minor project aspects, which is causing stress for you. So here, this is the problem. It is causing stress for you and your team. Now, avoid direct confrontation. I mean, stress would stay there, so you're not handling the problem. You're avoiding the conflict, right? So no, we don't do that. Adapt your personality according to the preferred work style. So it is causing stress for you. So how you can adapt to something which is causing stress to you. And also, we don't change personality type to an individual who is demanding, who does micromanagement and intervenes in minor project tasks. So we don't do that. Option C, discuss the concern with the senior leadership. Yes, you will be discussing with the senior leadership, but first you try to handle the situation yourself by having direct communication. Remember, one of the PMIs we talked about have direct and face-to-face communication, right? So if the problem is with the manager, talk to them. If problem persists, then you will be talking to senior leadership. Nikki commented, assertive doesn't mean you have to be a jerk, just confront with calmness and be in control with respect. Absolutely. Yes, that is correct. So correct answer is option D, be assertive and discuss the concern with the manager. Let's read the explanation. So this approach allows you to address the issue directly, build a collaborative relationship, and establish clear expectation. Next question. All right, Amanullah, you have chosen option A.
Yes, the PMO actually developed formally and formally issued a process where, or a standard that the entire organization should follow, while the department is not willing to do it. So that means that PMO has not involved them while they were developing or drafting that standard. So they looking into responses. A would be the option. The PMO get the standard reviewed by relevant functions before formally implemented. So if they have been reviewing it and providing inputs, if there are, or if there is anything to be added or deleted into that procedure, that would be a good option. So that is why I choose A for this.
All right, thank you. Leila, you have chosen option C.
Yeah, so you're the PMO and you develop the formally project management for the entire organization, but now the functional manager is refusing that. He thinks that does not work for this department. So if you would implement a standard in like a test case for one, test it out and see it, and get a feedback from them, and then you would implement throughout the organization, I think that would be helpful than just, massively trying to implement throughout the organization, right? Before even testing it.
All right. Thank you. Nikki, you have chosen option A or D. Why you have chosen option D?
Well, I was trying to decide between A and D because I think that the reason why they're not willing to implement is because they haven't had a say. Because it seems to me like his point was, or the PMO's point was, I have made and developed them, for the whole organization, because it says entire organization. And so I kind of like others have said, is I feel like that they weren't, they didn't buy in because they didn't have a say in creating these new standards. And A is, having them review before so they could at least have a comment about it and maybe make some changes before it's, formally implemented. And then, my thought was with D was that, so is it he does it and they get to review, or let them take the lead on D, let them be involved in the process from the very start. And that might cut back on some of the issues of them not wanting to implement the standards when he just hands it to them. So I wasn't sure which one. I went with A on my paper.
All right. Thank you so much for detailed explanation. So yes, the problem is involvement here, right? So PMO has developed something, functional manager says they are not in line with their requirement, or they are not practical enough for their operations. Means they are not involved in the process. So the problem could have been avoided if relevant functional manager, they are involved in the process, right? Now, how we can involve? We can involve in two ways. Either get the standard reviewed, or second is let the functions take the lead. Now, involving them to take a review or to have a review, it's a reactive approach. Once you complete the work, then you are sending a document for a review. Option D is involve them from scratch. Means
Yeah.
it's a better opportunity to seek their feedback rather than just getting a review of a completed document, right? So correct answer is option D. Let the function take the lead in the standard development process. And this is again one of the PMIism that we discussed. Whenever you see an option of involvement, right? Whenever you see an option of where you have self-organization, where you give autonomy, freedom, right? Where you let the teams do their job, go for that option. So here you are involving team members at the start, right? From the scratch, so that they build the product themselves. And then of course, when they're building the product themselves, that will be practical and they will be taking ownership as well, right? They will be implementing because they have developed it themselves. So correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. I think it's a typo, I guess, or no?
Should be D.
Sorry. Yes, so it's a typo. Explanation is right. This is just D. All right, next question. We are running short of time. Please be quick. All right, Vivek, you have chosen option D.
Yeah. So actually, I was like between option B and D. But with information radiators, even though we publish the information, there won't be any details. And the questions mentions the to address this concern and trust build. So only publishing the information won't build the trust. So keeping the transparency with all the stakeholders is the more appropriate answer in this scenario where uh, giving all the information with all the details and making it transparent will always help instead of publishing it on the sites or dashboards.
All right, thank you. I'm not sure if it is only for me or for everybody. I'm not able to hear you, most of you, like your voice is too low. I mean, Vivek's voice is low, Mehrdad's voice is low. I'm not sure if it is only for me. Just comment in the chat window. It is okay for everybody. Okay. Anton, you have chosen option A.
Yes, I thought it was A, since we have this phrase here, several changes. There used to be several changes in scope and timelines. So if we would implement and practice change management, that would probably include all of the below and information radiators and like focus on cross-functional collaboration and keeping transparency. So that's why I use this as a trigger to implement change management.
All right. Thank you. Okay, now let's read the question. It says you're managing a complex project with multiple stakeholders, including team members from various functions, departments, external vendors, and senior management. Throughout the project, there have been several changes in scope and timelines, leading to concerns among stakeholders about the project progress and potential outcome. Now, the concerns are not relevant to changes. Concerns are relevant to project progress, right? So if the concerns are relevant to several changes, then change management would have been the right answer. But they're not worried about changes here. They're worried about project progress, right? So A can't be the right answer. So to address these concerns and build trust, what is the most important practice you should implement? Now, what are the concerns? Concerns are regarding project progress. How you can address this concern and build trust? You can do that through transparency. So what is transparency? Making sure that what is the performance of the project or progress, you're sharing it as it is, right? So when you share performance, they would be aware of project progress and you will be building trust through transparency. So D is correct answer. Cross-functional collaboration, yes, that would be helpful, but it does not specify how it will build trust or specifically target the issue of concern about progress. So transparency directly addresses the concern of lack of understanding about project progress. So correct answer is option D. Let's read the explanation. Next question. All right, Kukila, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, because it is clear that after reviewing the project details, that the key portion, it's the word key is very important, right? So the key portion is missed, overlooked by the team. So if it is minor or something less, then we can cover it up. But if it's a key portion, then definitely there is no way of covering up. We should be transparent, inform the client, reassess the cost, and submit a revised proposal.
All right, thank you. Interesting to see different comments. All right, Robin, you have chosen option C.
I was juggling between C and D, but then to maintain the spirit of the contract, if we've submitted a bid and it was accepted, and then we went back afterwards and said to the client that it's going to cost more money, that wouldn't really be in keeping with the spirit. So that's why I chose C ahead of D.
All right, interesting. Thank you. All right, I'll take one more comment. Nikki, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, I understand the spirit of the contract thing, and I was thinking the same thing, like Robin, between C and D. My thought was that the best way to address it is to be honest and transparent, to go and say, hey, this, because it says a key portion of the work. So can you go to the sponsor and say, hey, we need $5 million more? Like how big of a portion is it? Like, can you cover it with, funds that you have, that, just to go be honest and talk to them and see, and maybe they say, no, we don't want you. But, I think that's the best way to address it. Because if you come out in the end that you can't afford to pay for it, then your company goes negative. That's not good either. So you have to be a good money manager too. So that was why I went with D, face to face.
All right, thank you for a detailed explanation. I'm tempted to take two more comments because I can see A, B, C, D. All the options are chosen. Okay. So Has, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, I felt I tempted to go between B and D. The reason I chose B because to maintain the spirit of the contract, right? So we can notify them and we are allowed to see how we can address it. While D is about submitting a revised proposal. So I felt that may not be the right spirit of the contract. So I felt that's the reason I just chose B.
All right, thank you. Amanullah, you have chosen option A.
Yes, looking into different opinions, I thought that since there is a matter of the spirit of the contract, A could be an option. So while I see that it's a key portion, but still, if that's possible to be absorbed by the contingency fund or management reserves, that will be an option as well. That's why I was choosing that as well. That can be an option.
All right, thank you everybody for detailed explanation. Now let's read the question. It says, contract has been awarded to your organization based on a proposal you submitted. After reviewing the product details, you realize that a key portion of the work was overlooked by your team that led to underestimation of the product cost. So if it is a key portion and it has led to underestimation, so it can't be done through management reserve. Management reserve is for unknown uncertainties, unknown risks, right? If there are any small things which are occurred, you can respond to this. But if a key portion is missed and it leads to underestimation, you won't be using management reserve. And we don't use contingency reserve for this. Contingency reserve is for known uncertainties or for known risks. So you can easily eliminate option A. Option B, notify the client about the omission and discuss potential options. So one of the values or spirit of contract is being transparent and being honest, right? Again, transparency. So we can make mistakes. So if you have made a mistake, it doesn't mean you will stick to this, right? If you have made a mistake, and even if you have signed an agreement, you can still talk to the client and you can share like, hey, we have made a mistake, so let's talk about it. So option B says notify the client about the omission and discuss potential options for addressing the additional work. And one of the PMIs we have been discussing, before you take any action, if there is an option that says look for alternatives, do not ignore that option. So the problem with option D is that maybe you end up doing this, but it is directly taking the action, right? Assuming that client would allow you to submit a revised proposal. You understand? So first you need to discuss the matter with the client. You need to discuss potential options, and maybe one of the options would be, okay, submit a revised proposal. So the problem is that before analysis, you're taking the action. We don't do that. First, we will be notifying and we will be discussing all potential options on how to address the additional work. And maybe one of the options would be D. Now, C, request additional budget from the sponsor. No, we don't do that. As Nikki mentioned, if there is a lot of work, so we won't be, how we will be paying, like who will be paying for that, right? Not the organization. That should be paid by the client, right? So C is not the option. Correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Kukila, you have chosen option D.
Yeah, Amar. So earned value analysis will tell you exactly what is the cost and that we have occurred, and are we within the cost or going beyond the cost. So that's why I chose that option. The governance plans, cost management plan, configure, it's all management plan, but I'm not sure if it will give a cost performance.
All right, thank you. Jashri, you have chosen option D.
Listener, I thought of all the four options. Earned value analysis involves the CPI index, cost performance index, which will give us the threshold going above which it needs to be addressed. So that decision can be taken. And that will be good indicators.
All right, again, I was not able to hear you clearly. I couldn't understand anything, but maybe this is only for me. You can write in the chat window. Okay, Suhas, you have chosen option B.
Yeah, the reason I choose option B is because it says the threshold behind which it is deemed unacceptable, right? So the variance exceeding the threshold, where cost management plan says something regarding, some kind of placeholder where we define all these thresholds, all those parts, right? So I thought cost management plan is the right answer. And value will give you the trends, how we are proceeding and other things. But to measure something against, I believe cost management plan gives those details.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. So if we read the question, it says they need to understand when and where they should intervene if the cost variance exceeds a threshold beyond which it is deemed unacceptable. So the question is not about what is the performance. The question is about when they should intervene. What's the threshold? What's the red line? If that is crossed, then they would be intervening. So that red line or threshold is documented in cost management plan. So in cost management plan, we write, okay, if your cost variance exceeds 5%, then we will be taking this action. So thresholds, as Suhas mentioned, are mentioned in cost management plan. So we will be talking about this. Governance plan is about overall governance process, not about threshold. Configuration management plan is about artifacts management, documents management, right? Version controlling. And earned value analysis gives you the actual numbers. So we're not talking about actual numbers, we're talking about at what point we should intervene. Now that point or that threshold, those are documented in cost management plan. So correct answer is option B. Let's read the explanation. All right, next question. All right, Vivek, you have chosen option C.
Actually don't remember the conflict model exactly, but according to the question, the team members are seems to be like arguing each other, and they are in the mode of contesting, so they are trying to win the battle now. So they are like kind of in a contesting mode. That's why choosing the option C.
All right, thank you. Bath, you have chosen option C.
Yep, because they're into the challenging each other and win, lose. And I think that's a contest. I don't think it's to the crusade, which is more like a war. I think. So that's why I picked C.
All right, thank you for detailed explanation. So yes, that is correct. There are 5 levels of conflict in Speed-Beeley's model. So first one is problem to solve. So I hope you recall we discussed this in detail. So first one is problem to solve, then disagreement, then contest, then fight, and then last one is intractable situation, that is war, right? So we're talking about level 3, which is contest, which is win-lose dynamics. When the focus is winning, right, that is called level 3 contest, right? Let's read the explanation. All right, everybody, we are done with today's lesson. Please put your score in the chat window. 70, 70, 70, 70, 80, 70. Wonderful. Wow. Amazing results. 60%, 40%, 30%. Okay, if you are getting more than 50%, wonderful. Anything less than 50% means you need more preparation, right? Also, my next PMP course is starting on September 7th. So please share this detail with your friends and colleagues, and also people who are watching on YouTube. You just need to send a text here, and my team would be sharing all the details about the course. Also, if you need any help regarding preparation or anything, you can schedule one-on-one meeting with me, right? It's simple, easy. Just scan this QR code and you can schedule a Zoom meeting with me based on availability in the calendar. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.